morning, students! Welcome to another fun-filled episode in Learning Mathematics Grade 10. I am your teacher Joy and I will be your virtual teacher for today's lesson. Before we begin, let me remind you to stay focused, watch and listen attentively, and avoid distractions. Is your self-learning module ready? How about your pen and paper? Great! Let's now begin this fun and enjoyable lesson. Are you ready to learn something new today? Great! But before that, let us review our previous lesson through a story. Do you want to hear a story? If yes, so here is the story.
On a Saturday morning, Jack is attending a party, and in the party, there is a lot of game. He dressed up early and is very excited to join the party games. Jack is now at the party, and he saw one of his friend, Toby. He and Toby joined the party games, and one of which is the Bato Bato Pick.
Are you familiar with the game Bato Bato Pick? You may also join the party games, and you may find your partner within your household. She could be your sister, your brother, or your parents. Or if you are at school, she could be your classmate to play with. Do you have now your partner? That's great! Well, you may record the result of your game through this table.
Jack and his friend Toby started playing the Bato Bato Pick game.
Bato Bato Pick! Bato Bato Pick! Bato Bato Pick! Bato Bato Pick!
While they are playing, I also recorded the result of their games, and this is the result. Now, how many times did Jack win or lose the game? What do you think? That's right! Out of the 5 games, Jack only won twice. Now, after the Bato Bato Pick game, Toby began to play another game. Let us ask what he is doing. Hey, Toby, what are you doing?
I'm tossing a coin.
Oh, he's playing tossing a coin. Do you know that in tossing a coin, you can only have a tail and a head as a result? From the game Jack's Bato Bato Pick and Toby's game Tossing a Coin, what can you conclude about your chance of winning and losing a certain game? Let us help Jack and his friend find answers to their questions. Before we formally proceed to our lesson, let us be guided with the following learning objectives. At the end of this video lesson, you should be able to 1. Recall the probability of simple events. 2. Define the probability of union of two events. And 3. Find the probability of A union B.
Finding the probability of A union B.
To help Jack and Toby solve their problems, the concept of probability is being used. Let us remember that probability is the measure of how likely an event to happen. The more likely an event to happen, the higher its probability, and the less likely an event to happen, the lower its probability. Let us recall how to find the probability of simple event through this formula. Probability of an event is equal to the number of favorable outcomes divided by the total number of possible outcomes. Now, in Jack's game Bato Bato Pick, what is the probability that Toby, his opponent, will show rock, paper, and scissor? So let us solve this using the formula of simple probability. So the probability of showing rock is equal to the number of favorable outcomes divided by the total number of outcomes. In the game, how many outcomes are possible? Very good. There are 3 possible outcomes, namely rock, paper, and scissor. In that 3 outcomes, how many rocks can you see? You are correct. There is only 1 rock in the total possible outcomes. So by simply substituting it to the formula, we have number of favorable outcomes which is equal to 1 and the total possible outcomes which is equal to 3. So the solution is the probability of showing a rock is equal to 1 over 3, or that is 1/3. In Toby's game, tossing a coin, what is the probability that the coin will show up head? So to find the probability, we have the probability of getting a head is equal to the number of favorable outcomes divided by the total number of possible outcomes. How many outcomes are there in all in tossing a coin? You are correct. We have 2 outcomes, namely a head and a tail. So how about how many times will a head will show up when you toss a coin? Correct again, there is only 1 possibility. So with this, we can have this solution. So the probability of getting a head is equal to the number of favorable outcomes divided by the total number of possible outcomes. So we have 1 all over 2. So the answer is 1/2. Did we help Jack and his friend find answers to their questions? Yes, we did. But what if Jack wanted to find the probability of showing a rock in the game Bato Bato Pick and at the same time getting ahead in tossing a coin? What should we do? In these situations, we are now finding the probability of 1 or more event. So, the first event is finding the probability of showing a rock in the game Bato Bato Pick, and the second event is getting ahead in tossing a coin. Those 2 events are different, yet we can find their probability. So we can use the probability of union of 2 events A or B. Let us now define what is union of 2 events. So the union of 2 events is a new event that contains all the outcomes that are in at least one of the 2 events. So the probability of union of A and B can be denoted by the probability of A union B. So the formula is probability of A union B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A intersection B. Going back to Jack's questions on wanting to find the probability of showing a rock in the game Bato Bato Pick and getting ahead in tossing a coin, let probability of A be equal to the first event and the probability of B be the second event, and the probability of A intersection B be the intersection of the 2 events. When we say intersection, it means the same probability that is present in the first event as well as in the second event. So here is the solution. The probability of A is equal to showing rock in the game Bato Bato Pick, and then the probability of B is equal to getting ahead in tossing a coin. And the probability of A intersection B is the intersection of probability of A and the probability of B. So the probability of A, which is the probability of showing a rock, that is equal to 1/3, and the probability of B, which is getting ahead, that is equal to 1/2. While probability of A intersection B is equal to the probability of showing a rock and getting ahead at the same time is equal to 0. Why is the answer 0? So it is because between the 2 events, there is no chance that both of the events will show up when you play them at the same time. So substituting it in the formula, probability of A union B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A intersection B, that is equal to 1/3 plus 1/2 minus 0, that is equal to finding the LCD of 3 and 2, that is equal to 6. So 2 plus 3 all over 6 minus 0. So simplifying it further, we have 5 over 6 minus 0, or the answer is 5 over 6. This is now the probability of union of A or B, which is the probability of showing a rock in the bato-bato pick game and getting ahead in tossing a coin. So did we help Jack solve his problem? Yes, we did, and you are great. So, did you get the same answer as mine? Excellent! So you are now ready to answer the prepared activity for you. It is time to check your understanding. Consider the situations below and find the probability of each problem. So I will give you minutes to answer and we will check if you got the correct answers. Are you ready? So let's start. So here is your question. A bowl contains 15 chips numbered 1 to 15. If a chip is drawn randomly from the bowl, what is the probability that you will get 1, 7, or 15? 2, 5, or a number divisible by 3? And lastly, a number that is divisible by 3 or 4. So let's check if your answers are correct. For number 1, what is your answer? That is 2 over 15. Very good. How about in number 2? That is 2/5. Very good. How about in last number 3? What is your answer? That is 7 over 15. Very good. You are all correct. Great job, dear learners! Your answers are all correct. It shows that you've understood our lesson for today. Indeed, you are capable to answer the prepared activity just for you. But before that, let us remember these important ideas. Number 1, probability is the measure of how likely an event is to happen. Number 2, the probability of simple event is equal to the number of favorable outcomes divided by the total number of possible outcomes. And number 3, the union of two events A or B can be solved using the formula probability of A union B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A intersection B. You are now ready to apply your knowledge and understanding about our lesson for today. Please get ready with your pen and paper for your solutions. You may screenshot or pause this video for you to answer the prepared problems. You may now start. And for your assignment, kindly answer the problem that is flashed in your screen. Show your complete solution and we will check it on our next meeting. Congratulations, grade 10 learners, for your excellent performance. I hope you have learned a lot from this episode of our virtual encounter. Thank you and see you again in our next video lesson.